I don't know if you've ever heard of crowdsourcing or not, but it is the single biggest threat to white-collar jobs, not only in America, but in all first-world countries. In fact, even to a lot of third-world countries if you're not the cheapest on the totem pole. And let me tell you what crowdsourcing is. Crowdsourcing is being able to take anything, be it design work, engineering, graphic design, animation, cartoons, videos, websites, computer programming, uh, even maybe even writing books and so forth at some point. All intellectual pursuits, can go out to the internet and be crowdsourced, and it's always countries like India, Russia, sometimes China, etc. That win those bids. So you can have like a website for $5. Or design your new product. Your new product idea, your new invention for $50. Which normally involve thousands and tens of thousands of dollars in engineering. Okay. um, Design your own, have somebody write a business plan for you, etc. I mean, right now, you got to understand the internet is an exponential technology. Right now, this stuff is in its infancy, just like YouTube at one point was infinitesimal, and so was Facebook. It quickly grew, but boy, it didn't become a thing, for several years. But boy, when it starts to become a thing, it hits you like a ton of bricks. It's an exponential curve, and the internet is an exponential technology, and everything on it's exponential. And right now, this crowdsourcing thing is in its infancy. You're just starting to see TV commercials for it and everything else, for these crowdsourcing sites. But all this stuff universally, ends up going overseas, Um, so the net effect is it's not having much effect now, but give it another 10 or 20 years and allow it to develop and see where this goes. Because you can look at things like YouTube and Wikipedia and so forth and realize that 25 years ago, knowledge was power. I mean, you could sell it. I mean, it was a commodity. If you took the time and went through the effort to gain knowledge, just like I did, you could go out and capitalize on it. You can make a fortune on it like I did, back in the pre-internet days. Like I said, I mean, I made a couple $1 million not really knowing what the hell I was doing. That's how valuable knowledge was. Now, no, the only way you're going to do that is to be the best of your field. Because right now you're competing with people from China and India, etc., on everything. Everything you can possibly consult on, is gonna, you got the crowdsourcing threat, not to mention the old threats, that wiped out the blue-collar job, like China, for example, dumping everything on our market, at dirt cheap prices through Alibaba and Amazon and eBay and Etsy and so forth. I mean, that's wiped out all the blue-collar jobs. That really has accelerated it. And if you look at what that's done to the jobs, that actually started back in the Clinton days. Okay, well, that's when the internet happened. It wasn't Clinton that did it so much as it was the internet. The internet, has created this big loss of jobs to overseas. It just has. It's lost a lot of blue-collar jobs. But now it's really, truly, and like I said before, YouTube and things like that have wiped out, knowledge base jobs, not jobs, but knowledge-based businesses, so that it's hard to go out and become a consultant on something. You better really be the top of your field if you want to make any money at it now. It was much, 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 much easier 25 years ago. I'm living proof of that. But that's all gone. But there's still a lot of jobs out there in white collar, but not for long. Crowdsourcing is the new thing that's going to wipe all the white-collar jobs out, because eventually, it's real popular with millennial business owners. The idea of, sending everything overseas, what the hell, it's a global economy, all this globalism crap, has lowered the barriers of acceptance to that shit. And because of that, yeah, I mean, these millennials are all dooming themselves. They're out there starting the little restaurants and things like that, thinking, oh, restaurants are going to be immune to crowdsourcing. We don't care. We'll have our little brochures or menus, created by crowdsourcing. Well, that's costing graphic designers their business over here. It's that's business they would have. They're not going to have anymore. And if they do have it, they're going to have to be at dirt cheap, unsustainable prices. So you just can't compete. And it's way worse, if you're a graphic designer, than trying to compete with Kinko's, which was bad enough. Kinko's did crappy work, but and it showed. For the most part, but at the end of the day, it was still at least had some American greed in it. But the crowdsourcing, no, there's no American greed at all. Because you're going overseas to where $5 is a fortune. Some of these people. I mean, they, give you a blowjob or whatever for, 50 cents. But, at the end of the damn day, that's kind of where it's going. It's going to wipe out all, within the next 20 years, it's going to wipe out all white-collar jobs in America. I mean, there's not going to be any kind of job you can think of that won't be crowdsourceable, especially once it's more developed. Right now it's not very developed. You want a business plan? Just crowdsource it. You want last week's payroll done for you? Crowdsource that. Why not? I mean, I guarantee you're going to see crowdsourcing wipe out almost all white-collar jobs to where, between the loss of blue-collar jobs and the loss of white-collar jobs out there, there's going to be, like 90% unemployment, if this thing runs its course, and maybe worse than that. It really will be like one of those sci-fi movie dystopias where you see the rich and their ivory walled-off city towers, and everybody else around them's in squalor. It could really be like that in America. I mean, that's not bullshit. This needs to be stopped. It needs to be outlawed to do that. They just need to make it simply illegal to freaking do that kind of business and to make it, impossible to do it. The government's going to have to step in because, eventually way more people are going to be hurt by this than are helped. And like these little millennial restaurant owners and stuff like that that think they're immune to it. Well, remember, if nobody has any money, nobody's going to be shopping at your restaurant, are they? Or whatever other little frickin' business you conceive of. No, you're going to be in squalor right alongside us, and it's going to be your fault for frickin', making this Made in America thing. Because it's not just going to be made in America that's going to be a slogan anymore, or should be. It's designed in America too, or created in America. But that's going to be an issue. It's really gonna, it's a looming problem that somebody needs to deal with, because otherwise, none of us are going to have any jobs. Unless you're the head of a Fortune 500 company, what are you going to do? Well, hell, you're going to move overseas, aren't you? The hell, it's going to be no better in Europe or any place else. And like I said, fuck, even in Mexico and places like that, if they're not the cheapest, they're going to be, their people are going to crowdsource too. So, it's going to hurt everybody except for the lowest rung on the totem pole out there. The Indias and the Russias and whoever, want to be the cheapest out there. Those are going to be the ones that get all the damn business. And none of the rest of us, because remember, there are way more people out in the world than there are here in America. 300 million versus, 8 billion total. There's lots of people that want your job, and they'd be willing to work for, less, 1% of what you work for. And you're going to be facing that just like I have. I've already been a victim of it, over the last 20 years. So, and a lot of people, that might be listening to this video, have probably been a victim of it from a blue-collar standpoint, and maybe you don't even realize it. But like I said too, that's why we have all these like McDonald's workers wanting 15 bucks an hour or what the fuck ever. And it's because now there's no place for them to go anymore. There used to be blue-collar jobs for these McDonald's workers to go work, because McDonald's and places like that were supposed to be just entry-level work. For no experience, but you'd work at McDonald's for 5 years or whatever if you had no college education, and you'd go into a nice factory job. Well, there just aren't enough of those over here anymore to satiate everybody. That's the problem. That's why you have McDonald's workers on strike, and they're thinking it's the rich McDonald's that's at fault. It's not McDonald's fault, man. They're not supposed to be anything but entry-level work. They're not set up for, permanent career positions. It's not supposed to be like that. But it's not McDonald's fault. It's the fact that, everybody wants to buy products that are made, overseas in freaking China. And clearly it's not going to self-correct because price is always king. And that's the nature of things. So, people aren't going to start all buying, their stuff in America, and pay 10 times the price. So that's not going to, it's not going to self-resolve. So it's got to be up to the government to do something about that. But again, that's just part of the problem. White collar's next on the chopping block. And that's coming sooner than you might think. It's going to be, why waste your time going to college? You're not going to be able to get a job doing anything. CAD work, fucking, being an engineer, almost anything can be, anything that's intellectual can be crowdsourced. Anything that's intellectual can be crowdsourced. So if you are an engineer, let's say an engineer that needs to do some hands-on work, okay, maybe you'll be lucky and keep that part of your job, but the fact of the matter is the intellectual part will be outsourced overseas. So that's going to cut out like 80% of your workload, so there's going to be 80% less engineers out there, so, if you're one of the lucky few that can get a job, good luck. You may be thinking plumbers and electricians, they'll be exempt. Yeah, if they're working for the rich, but other than that, most plumbers and electricians are going to be out of business too. You know why? Because nobody will be able to afford them. I mean, everybody's going to be in squalor. I mean, you're talking, I guarantee you, in excess of 80% unemployment. That's what we're looking at. And all developed world countries are going to be like that. Not just America. It's going to affect us all. So, unless you have a government with the balls to lay down the law, just, because honestly, we'd all be better off if the plug was just pulled on the fucking internet. We really would be all better off. Things just went back to the way they were. It'd be painful, I'd be the first to admit that. But on the other hand, Jesus Christ, at some point you got to ask yourself, when is this internet thing causing more harm than good? I submit to you it's already doing that, we're just not aware of it yet. And we won't be aware of it until we are at 80% unemployment. Everybody's out so much squalor they can't afford the electric bill, let alone a fucking internet bill, to be on the goddamn thing. So it'll probably take care of itself, sorta, but it'll always act like a ceiling that you can never get behind, because those third world countries aren't going to go away just because we go dark, because we can't afford the internet or electricity anymore. So, but this is coming, and you should pull your head out of your hole there and realize that something needs to be done about it, and somebody needs to start complaining to politicians or something. But it just hadn't become a major issue yet. But by the time it starts to, it'll probably be too late. By the time politicians start paying attention to it, there's going to be a lot of pain and suffering coming, as this develops. And at first people aren't going to know why, they're not able to find work. They're going to think it's another recession. No, it's not a recession. It's the end times. When it comes to your ever working again, don't expect to, because the economy will just keep degrading and degrading, and it'll just keep getting worse and worse and worse. And eventually they'll start to get to the bottom of, hey, this crowdsourcing thing is, perhaps responsible. Maybe you'll listen to this video and realize I told you so. But mark my words, this is coming.